Hi, I'm Sonia. Welcome to my channel, Sonia Psychology Classes. In last class, we had studied what are independent and dependent variables, and I hope that it's clear to you. In this class, today we'll be talking about what are the extraneous variables and how it affects our study. So, what is extraneous variables? Extraneous variables are the variables that I, as a researcher, am not interested to study, but these impact my study in a bad way. So, as a researcher, my purpose is to see the impact of or effect of IV on the DV. That is it. But the extraneous variables are present usually, which keeps impacting my IV in a way that whatever the DV comes, whatever the outcome of the study is, it is untrue. It is not true to itself. It is an altered one, because here the extraneous variables had impacted the IV. So I, as a researcher, need to remove these extraneous variables. I usually label them as bugs that keeps bugging me. In last class, I had given you an example in what is IV and what is DV. Just a quick recap. So in this example, like you see, there are two conditions. One is rainy season and one is sunny season. Rainy day and sunny day. So there are two participants that I've called. One participant is going to cycle during the rainy day. The other participant is going to cycle on the sunny day. And I will see as a researcher that how the weather of that day is impacting the performance of a cyclist. So here the IV is the weather that has an impact on the DV, the performance of the cyclist. So if you have seen my previous video, you would be much clear about what is IV, what is DV. But anyways, I have given you a quick recap on the same. So going forth here, what could be the extraneous variables? Can you guess it? Okay, I'll tell you. So the extraneous variables are the variables that impacts the IV and the DV is altered. For example, let's say the first participant in rainy season who has come, let's name him Job. And the second one who is on the sunny day, let's name him Steve. So Job and Steve are there. So Job is very muscular. He's very athletic. And Steve, who has come on sunny day, is an introvert who sits at home, who is a bookworm. He doesn't go out much and he doesn't like to do physical activities usually. So in this case, the individual difference between these two people, so one is athletic, one is not very athletic. So the difference between these two people in their physical build is an extraneous variable, because here when Job comes in, even if it's a rainy day, because he's athletic, he is able to cycle better than Steve, who comes on the sunny day, but because he's not that athletic or in sports, so he is not able to cycle or perform that well. In this case, what is happening? It is not the impact of IV on the DV. It is not the impact of the weather on the performance, but it is the impact of the extraneous variable, that is the athletic personality of a person, that is impacting the cycling performance. So my study, the impact of weather on their cycling performance, it's not true. Whatever results I'm getting, it's not true because it's not measuring that. Or let's take another example here, the difference between the prior experience. Let's say Job has been cycling since childhood and he's a pro in that. Whereas Steve, who has come on the sunny day, he has recently learned cycling and he's not a pro in it. So in this case, what happens? Job obviously would perform better even if it's a rainy day. And Steve, on the other hand, will not be able to perform better because he's not a pro. He has recently learned how to cycle. So in this case, the actual result should be the impact of IV on the DV, the impact of weather on the cycling performance. But no, the result is not that. Here the extraneous variable is impacting the IV and it is also impacting the DV. So whatever the result comes, it is because of their individual differences and not because of the weather. So I hope it is clear to you. So here, just a quick recap. The IV is the weather here that we want to study the impact on the DV, that is the performance of a cyclist. So impact of IV on the DV, and extraneous variables can be number of things like for example your athletic personality, your prior experience, even the type of cycle. Maybe one cycle has gears, the other cycle is gearless cycle, and so on. Okay, let's do one more example for more clarity. Let's say I am a researcher and I want to study the impact of eating chocolates on the children's hyperactivity. So I believe that many chocolates, a lot of chocolates can increase the hyperactivity in a child. So what do I do as a researcher? I make a setup where I have two classrooms. So I have one classroom where there are kids, 10 kids, and I give them 10 chocolates to eat. On the other hand, I have second classroom where there are again 10 children and I give them just one chocolate to eat. After a while, I see how eating chocolates, that is IV, has an impact on the hyperactivity. Hyperactivity is the DV. So this is my intention to study. But here, maybe whatever my results are coming might not be true. The reason is that maybe there were some extraneous variables which I did not take care of earlier. So what these extraneous variables could be? Let's see. Maybe the ones who are in the class 1 who ate 10 chocolates, maybe those kids are naturally very calm and composed and they are not very naughty. So genetic, or maybe their environmental factors, whatever it is, or maybe their friends are absent that day, so they are sitting very quiet and they don't want to play with other kids. So these could be the extraneous variables. On the other hand, in the second classroom where I gave just one chocolate to 10 kids, these children maybe naturally they are very naughty. They are all very hyperactive, let's say. Okay, so in this case what happens is, it is not the amount of chocolate that is affecting the hyperactivity, but it is their natural behavior, how naturally they are, whether they're calm, they're composed, or they're hyperactive naturally. So their natural personality is impacting the DV. So this becomes my extraneous variable. Or another example could be that the ones that had 10 chocolates, maybe I don't want to sound stereotype here, but let's say this class has more of girls in it who like to just sit and chit chat and play calmly and coolly. On the other hand, the class where I have given one chocolate, most of them out of 10, maybe 7 are boys, and those boys are full aggressive and hyperactive. Again, I'm not sounding stereotype, I hope. It's just an example where the boys are hanging like monkeys on the grills of the windows and everything. So here it is not now. So now what my result will be like? My result will show that children who eat more chocolates are more calm and composed. Children who eat less chocolate are more hyperactive. Maybe, maybe not. We haven't done the study yet. This was just an example. So I don't know what the outcome would be. But here, what the impact of IV on the DV might be untrue. Why? Because I have not controlled the extraneous variables here. I have not taken care of the equal amount of girls and boys in both the classes to allocate, whether 5 hyperactive and 5 calm kids should be there, and 5 hyperactive and calm kids should be in this class. So I need to equalize both the things. So when I did not take care of these extraneous variables started impacting my DV, and the results were altered. Results showed something else altogether, which was not the impact of IV, but that of extraneous variables. I hope that's clear to you. Okay, so a quick recap on IV, DV, and extraneous variables. An independent variable here is the number of chocolates used. Dependent variable here is the hyperactivity, and extraneous variables can be a number of things like the gender allocation, the hyperactivity of the child naturally, or their calmness or attitude. So these can be the extraneous variables. Okay, well, let's do one more last example. I take 2 conditions. One condition is that I call students and give them psychology test during the morning time. And then I call the second set of students in condition 2. I call them during the afternoon time. Okay, and I want to see as a researcher the effect of time on the performance on their test. So whether children are able to perform well in the test during the morning time, or are they able to perform well in the test during the afternoon time. So this is what I want to check. So you are clear with the IV and the DV. The IV is the time of the day, the DV is the performance on the test. Now there could be extraneous variables which as a good researcher I should be taking care of. Number one, maybe the extraneous variable could be that one set of students, either the morning ones or the afternoon ones, let's say the morning ones, they were better, they performed better because they had already prepared or they had done the revision of psychology. But on the other hand, the other students who had come during the afternoon, they had not done the revision of psychology. This could be one extraneous variable. Second, the interest in the subject. Maybe one set of students or students in one of the conditions, they were more interested in studying psychology, the other were more towards economics or maths or any other subject, and they didn't like psychology too much. So these are the reasons, maybe their IQ level, their preparation level, the interest of the subject. Another example of this, maybe one set of students in the morning when they came, they were giving the test, it was quite calm environment outside their class, they were not getting disturbed, so they did their test really well. But let's say the second set of students, when they were doing it in the afternoon, there is a music class just adjacent to the class where the test is happening, and the music class is going on. So due to the loud music that is happening, because of that they get disturbed and they're not able to perform well on the test. So these are all the extraneous variables that is impacting my study. Okay, another quick recap. The independent variable here is the time of the day, whether it's morning or afternoon. The dependent variable here is the performance of the students on their test, psychology test. And extraneous variables can be number of extraneous variables here that are affecting independent variable. Those could be their own IQ, their concentration levels, disturbance from external environment, or their prior preparation of the subject, the interest in the subject, and so on. It is very important for a researcher to control all these extraneous variables. If these extraneous variables are not controlled, they will keep impacting our study, and whatever the result comes in, those will be very untrue or altered. So it is important that these extraneous variables are well controlled. So how do we control these extraneous variables? The very first way to control these extraneous variables is standardization. Standardization is a terminology which you'll be using again and again for in your grade 11, 12, BSA level or DPI 1 or 2. Whatever it is. So standardization is when we give instruction, the researcher gives instruction to all the participants in a same way. All the procedure, all the aspects of the procedure is carried out in exactly the same way, unless and until we plan to study the differences. So for example, if I have to give instruction as soon as the participant comes in, it has to be same for the all. The external environments like any noise element or any different kind of benches given to the student, or any different classroom for the students, if they're my plan is to study their hyperactivity. So it shouldn't be like one classroom is full of toys and the other classroom is a plain classroom, like in my one of the examples. So obviously the one in where all the toys are, those students are likely to become a little more hyperactive after seeing the toys. So these kind of things these kind of things should be taken care of pretty well before in advance. This is called standardization, when instructions, the procedures, the environment, everything is same for all the participants unless and until we want to study it. The next way to control the extraneous variables is taking care of experimental design. I will be having a full one exclusive video on experimental designs, where I'll be telling you different experimental designs, independent, repeated, and matched pair designs. So this right now in this class, it is not about experimental designs, but I would tell you in brief that to control the extraneous variables here, we can allocate the participants in the right way in different conditions. It shouldn't be like all the boys are in one condition, all the girls are in another condition, or all the athletic are in one condition, or all the non-athletic are in the second condition. So the individual differences between the participants should not be so much between two conditions that there is an imbalance and it acts as an extraneous variable. It impacts the study. So there should be minimum individual differences, as in individual difference is always going to be there between any two individuals in the world, but then we need to allocate the participants in such a manner to all the given conditions so that their differences are balanced out. For example, we have 4 participants. Now 2 of them are athletic, 2 of them are not that athletic. So what can I do to balance it out? I use one athletic and one non-athletic to condition A, and I use one athletic and another non-athletic to condition B. So there is a balance out between both the things, okay, both the conditions. So this is how I can take care of the extraneous variable. One more way of removing the extraneous variable is removing the biasness, called as blindness. Under this there are 2 subcategories, single blind study and the double blind study. Again, I'll be using altogether a different video for the same, but now to brief it out, to understand how it can become an extraneous variable. So sometimes what happens is that, for example, I am a researcher and then there is, this participant is there. So when I'm doing the study, I tell the participant, this is the study, what the study is about. It could be because of the content of the study that the participant knows that he's being studied. He might alter his behavior deliberately. He might fake or pretend or alter his behavior, which can give me untrue results. So in that case, I can use single blind study. Means I know that whatever I'm giving it, whatever resource I'm giving it to him, it is intent to measure this, but the participant does not know what it is about. So this is a single blind study. So if the participant doesn't know, then it is he cannot be biased. He cannot pretend if he doesn't know in the very first place. Another is second subcategory in this is the double blind study. In double blind study, neither the participant knows nor the researcher knows. So we both don't know that which is what. For example, I'm giving them, I don't tell them that it's an IQ questionnaire. Now they suppose there is this IQ questionnaire or questionnaire of some kind of behavior to study. So neither I know and nor the participant knows what this question is about. So if we don't know, he cannot pretend, he cannot fake write the answers. Or if it's an observational study, if I'm observing the participant, I don't know what I'm going exactly observing here, but I just need to make notes of it. So neither a researcher knows nor the participant. Only after the study gets over, we get to know what the study was really about. So in this double blind and single blind study, we are able to remove any kind of biasness which can act as an extraneous variable. The last kind of extraneous variable that I'll be talking about here in this video is removing the demand characteristics. Now, what is demand characteristics? I haven't explained this term in any of my videos till now. I will be explaining it in the video in future that I'll be uploading. But for now, I'll just give you a gist of it so that you understand. Demand characteristics is another terminology that you might come across, or you'll be using it again and again. It means to get hints. Demand characteristics is nothing related to demands. It means to get hints, to get an idea of what the study is about. So what happens when a person gets an idea what the study is about, they may pretend, fake or change their behavior, and which can lead to untrue results. We don't want that to happen. Now, for example, in the case where the cycling was happening, the demand characteristics, even if they get a hint that, or even if they do get the clarity altogether that, their cycling performance is going to be observed in the very first example I'm talking about, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It depends upon the content of the experiment, the nature of the experiment. So in that case, it doesn't matter even if they get a hint. But for example, if the children, in the second example, if the children get to know that I am giving them the chocolates to study their hyperactiveness, okay, so maybe now here if they get the demand characteristics, means if they get the hint of the study, they might change their behavior. They might see, oh, this teacher is going to, or this researcher is going to study my behavior, that how hyperactive I am. Maybe I get reported or my parents are called. So maybe after eating 10 chocolates also, they are sitting very quietly in a corner pretending that they are a very good child, and they don't, jump around like monkeys in the class. So they are showing their socially desirable behavior, their good behavior in front of the researcher or the teacher. So this is what this is, getting a demand characteristics, getting a hint which can act as an extraneous variable. So here we are at the end of the video, and I hope you got a clarity, you understood it well, that what extraneous variables are. For your practice, I have put up some questions here. You can try doing it. These are just hypothetical questions or statements, not just extraneous variables. You can also try to identify what are the IVs and the DVs here along with the extraneous variables. You need to imagine what could be the extraneous variables here. So you have to think and try answering it. Practice these questions, and you can either email your answers